I want to start with something that might surprise you, and honestly, it might make you a little uncomfortable. If you're taking more than one prescription right now, there's a very good chance you're making a mistake with your medications that most doctors see every single week, and most patients have absolutely no idea they're doing it. It's not about forgetting a dose. It's not about taking the wrong pill by accident. It's something far more common, far more sneaky, and it's happening in kitchens and bathroom cabinets all across the country right now, today, as you're watching this. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what that mistake is, how to check if you're making it yourself, and 3 simple things you can do this week to fix it. So stay with me, because this really could change how you feel day to day more than you'd expect. Let's set the scene a little bit. Most of us, once we hit our 60s, 70s, and beyond, end up on more than one medication. Maybe something for blood pressure, something for cholesterol, maybe a thyroid pill, something for joint pain, a vitamin or 2 the doctor recommended, perhaps something for sleep. On its own, none of that is unusual. It's actually very common. Studies suggest that most adults over 65 in the United States are taking at least 2 prescription medications, and a large number are taking 5 or more. That's just the reality of getting older and taking care of ourselves the right way. But here's the part that most people miss. It's not the number of medications that's the real danger. It's how those medications interact with each other, and how they interact with things you might not even think of as medication at all. Supplements, over-the-counter pain relievers, even certain foods. And the mistake I'm talking about is this: taking your medications without ever having a full, honest, complete review of everything you're putting into your body, all at once, with someone who's trained to catch the overlaps and conflicts. Doctors have a name for this. They call it polypharmacy, and it's one of the most under-talked about risks for people our age. Here's why it happens so easily, and I promise you, this isn't a criticism, because nearly everyone falls into this pattern without meaning to. You go to your primary doctor for your blood pressure. They prescribe something. Later, you see a specialist for your knees, and they prescribe something else. Maybe a different doctor manages your thyroid. Maybe you started taking a vitamin your neighbor recommended, or something you saw work well for a friend. Each doctor, each pharmacy, each recommendation happens in its own little bubble. And unless someone is looking at the entire picture, all your prescriptions together, all your supplements together, all your over-the-counter products together, nobody is checking for that overlap. That's the mistake. Not any single choice, but the lack of a full picture. Now let me tell you why this matters so much, because I don't want to just scare you and leave you hanging. I want you to actually understand what's at stake here. When medications overlap or conflict, it can show up in ways that don't look like a medication problem at all. Some research shows it can look like dizziness that you've just chalked up to getting older. It can look like fatigue that makes no sense given how much you're sleeping. It can look like confusion or brain fog that worries you late at night. It can look like an upset stomach that comes and goes. It can even look like a fall. And falls, as many of you already know, are one of the biggest risks to independence as we age. What's frustrating is that so many people experience these symptoms and just accept them as part of getting older, when in some cases, they may actually be connected to how their medications are working together, or against each other. Let me give you a very common example of how this plays out, because I think a real-world picture makes this much easier to understand. Let's say you're taking a blood pressure medication. That's fairly standard, very common, nothing unusual there. Now let's say you also occasionally take an over-the-counter pain reliever for your joints, something you can grab at any pharmacy without a prescription. On their own, both of those are reasonably safe when used properly. But some research suggests that certain over-the-counter pain relievers may reduce the effectiveness of certain blood pressure medications, and may also put extra strain on the kidneys, especially when used regularly over time. Most people have absolutely no idea this interaction is even a possibility, because nobody ever sat them down and looked at the full list together. Or here's another one. Many of us take a vitamin or mineral supplement, something like calcium or iron or a multivitamin. These feel harmless because they're not real medicine. They're just vitamins, right? But depending on timing and dosage, certain supplements can interfere with how well the body absorbs certain prescription medications, particularly thyroid medications and some heart medications. Again, not something anyone tells you explicitly unless you ask, or unless someone reviews everything together. I want to pause here and say something important because I don't want this video to make you feel afraid of your medications. That is absolutely not the goal. Your prescriptions are there to help you, and for the vast majority of people, they do exactly what they're supposed to do. This isn't about being scared of your pills. This is about being informed, and about making sure the full picture is being looked at by someone qualified to look at it. Fear leads to people skipping medications they actually need, which is its own kind of dangerous. What I want instead is for you to feel empowered, because once you know this, you can actually do something about it. So let's talk about what you can actually do, starting today, to check whether this applies to you. The first thing, and this is honestly the single most useful thing you can do, is what's sometimes called a brown bag review. It sounds a little funny, but it's incredibly simple and it works. Take every single medication you're currently taking, prescriptions, over-the-counter products, vitamins, supplements, even things like eye drops or creams, and literally put them all in a bag or write them all down on one piece of paper with the dosages. Then bring that complete list to either your primary doctor or your pharmacist and ask them directly. Can you review everything I'm taking together and tell me if there are any conflicts or overlaps? This is one of the most valuable 10 minutes you can spend on your health, and most people have simply never done it because no single doctor visit naturally prompts it. The second thing is to actually use one pharmacy for everything, if you possibly can. I know it can be tempting to fill one prescription at the pharmacy near your specialist and another closer to home, especially if you're juggling multiple providers. But pharmacies keep records, and pharmacists are specifically trained to flag interactions. If all your prescriptions go through the same pharmacy, their system will often catch overlaps automatically before you even have a chance to ask. If you're currently splitting your prescriptions across 2 or 3 different places, consolidating to one pharmacy is a small change that can make a real difference. The third thing, and this one surprises people, is to specifically ask about your over-the-counter products and supplements, not just your prescriptions. Most people think of a medication review as only covering prescription pills. But over-the-counter pain relievers, sleep aids, antacids, and supplements are often left out of the conversation entirely, even though they can be just as involved in interactions. When you do that brown bag review I mentioned, make sure absolutely everything is in that bag. Even the vitamin gummies, even the herbal tea you take for sleep, even the pain cream you rub on your knees. Everything counts. The fourth thing is timing. Some research suggests that when you take certain medications relative to each other and relative to food can matter just as much as what you're taking. For example, some medications need to be taken on an empty stomach to absorb properly, while others need food to avoid stomach upset. Taking 2 medications at the exact same time that shouldn't be combined that closely together can sometimes reduce how well one or both of them work. Your pharmacist can help you build a simple daily schedule that spaces things out appropriately. And honestly, once you have that schedule written down, it takes all the guesswork out of your day. The fifth thing I want to mention is symptom tracking, because this is something that can genuinely change how a doctor helps you. If you've been experiencing dizziness, fatigue, brain fog, stomach issues, or any of the things I mentioned earlier, start writing them down. Note the day, the time, and roughly what you'd taken that day. This kind of simple log can be incredibly valuable to a doctor because it helps them see patterns that might otherwise be invisible during a rushed 15-minute appointment. Doctors want this information. They just rarely get it because most patients don't think to track it this way. Now, I do want to take a moment here because I know some of you watching this might be feeling a bit anxious right now, wondering if this applies to you, wondering if something you felt for months might actually be connected to this. I want to reassure you, this is incredibly common, it is very manageable, and simply knowing about it puts you miles ahead of where most people are. The people who run into serious trouble with this aren't the ones who ask questions, it's the ones who never think to ask at all. You just took the first step by watching this video and learning what to look for. I also want to address something that comes up a lot, which is feeling embarrassed or awkward about bringing a big bag of medications to a doctor's appointment, or feeling like you're wasting your doctor's time by asking for a full review. Please don't feel that way. This is exactly the kind of proactive question doctors wish more patients would ask. It shows you're engaged in your own care, and honestly, most doctors will be genuinely glad you brought it up, because it makes their job of helping you both safer and easier. Let's talk for a moment about who specifically should be paying closest attention to this. If you're taking 3 or more medications regularly, this applies to you directly. If you see more than one doctor or specialist for different conditions, this applies to you. If you've started any new supplement or over-the-counter product in the last 6 months without mentioning it to your doctor, this applies to you. And honestly, even if none of that describes you, it's still worth doing a review at least once a year, simply because medications and dosages tend to shift over time, and what was a perfectly safe combination 2 years ago might not be exactly the same today. I also want to gently mention something for those of you who are caregivers, watching this on behalf of a parent or a spouse. This applies just as much, if not more, to the person you're caring for. Sometimes an older adult is seeing multiple doctors who aren't necessarily talking to each other, and the person managing everything day to day, that might be you, is in the best position to bring that full picture together. If that's you, consider this your reminder to sit down this week and do exactly what I described. Gather everything into one list and bring it to a single trusted pharmacist or doctor for a full review. Before I wrap up, I want to leave you with one more important point because I think it ties everything together. Your body changes as you get older. How it processes and clears medications from your system isn't the same at 70 as it was at 40. That means a dose or combination that worked perfectly well years ago might behave differently in your body now, even if nothing about the prescription itself has changed. This is exactly why some research suggests that medication reviews shouldn't be a one-time thing, but something revisited regularly, especially as new prescriptions get added to the mix. So here's what I'd love for you to do after watching this. Today, or at the very latest this week, gather every single thing you take, prescriptions, over-the-counter items, vitamins, supplements, into one list or one bag. Reach out to your pharmacist or your doctor and simply ask for a full review. It typically takes less than 15 minutes, and it could genuinely be one of the most valuable 15 minutes you spend on your health this year. If this video helped you, or if it made you think of someone in your life who's juggling multiple medications, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button and shared this with them. It might be exactly the nudge they need to finally ask that question they've been putting off. And if you're new here, consider subscribing, because every week I break down exactly this kind of practical, doctor-informed guidance to help you feel confident and in control of your health as you get older, without the fear and without the confusion. I'd also love to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever done a full medication review with your doctor or pharmacist? Did anything surprise you when you did? Your experience might be exactly what helps someone else watching this take that first step themselves. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.